One evening when I got home from work looking very tired and fagged out, I noticed my baby was weak, so I put her to sleep. Then I asked Nena, the girl that assists me, to get something for me to eat, but she complained of headache and weakness and dizziness. And then I asked her if she had eaten anything that afternoon, and she said yes. And then I said, okay, get me something to eat first, and then we would go ahead with that. Suddenly, she came out of the kitchen and collapsed. I rushed to her, and then she was screaming, my head, my head. I got confused. I didn't know what to do. I picked up the phone and I called my mother. And then she advised that maybe she needed to drink something, I should get her a drink. I rushed downstairs to get the drink, and on my way up, I realized I was losing strength and I was getting weaker and weaker. I managed to get upstairs, and Nena was weak. She was just weak. I myself, I was weaker by the moment. I was getting weaker and weaker, and I realized I was beginning to lose consciousness of my environment. At that point, I struggled to pick up the phone, and then I called my doctor friend. Then he asked if the generator was on in the house, and then I answered yes. He said, leave the house now. Get everybody and get out of that house now. I couldn't even move a muscle, let alone grabbing my daughter or my help. Who do I carry? I can't carry myself. Then I struggled to stand up. I tried standing up. Then I struggled again and again, and then I stood up, rushed to my daughter, grabbed her, rushed and said, Nena, get out of the house now! Get out of the house. But she was too weak. But somewhere she found that strength, and she stood up and she ran out of the house, and there were stairs. It was to climb down the stairs, and then we rolled down the stairs, and then we found ourselves out of the house. When we got out of the house, Nena was vomiting. My daughter started jerking, and then she was having seizures, and she was vomiting. At that point, the doctor, being alarmed by my phone call, rushed to the house and then bundled us into the car and took us to the hospital. When we got to the hospital, my daughter and I were a lot better, having inhaled the usual oxygen, and Nena was still very sick. She had to be she was put on oxygen for her to get better. And at that point, my doctor told me that it was that the generator carbon monoxide we had inhaled within that space of time was what would have killed us, and that a lot of families don't survive it.
Our body depends on oxygen to survive. Oxygen is carried to various parts of our body. What carbon monoxide does is that it takes the place of this oxygen, and so it is carried to various parts of our body. And in a sense, our body is starved, so to say, of oxygen, and this is how death begins. Carbon monoxide poisoning manifests as headaches, dizziness, seizures, and eventually death. Where there is a high concentration of carbon monoxide, the patient can actually die within minutes. I sincerely believe that Chioma being alive today is a complete act of God's miraculous power. If she had stayed a little longer in that apartment, she would have died.
I didn't know what the story would have been. We would have been dead. It would have been on the headings of the newspaper. Family of 3 died by generator carbon monoxide. What would I have said? What would I have told my Nena's mother? What would I have... At the point, I thought I was a failure. I was thinking fast, like, I have killed everybody in my house. But God, in His infinite mercy, it can only be God. And I give him all the praise. I don't take it for granted. I don't take it ordinary, because it would have been another story altogether.